All right, everyone. Welcome back, I suppose. You'll notice that we're on our D2L homepage. You're clearly already here if you're watching the videos. And this is where we'll spend a fair amount of our course getting you situated. Our readings will appear here, as well as our daily posts and everything else you might need for the course. So this video is just going to walk us through that. I think we'll come back to this at the end. Maybe one thing I'll point out right now, so it's the first thing in your memory, is this. When it's time to look for important things that tell you what to do in the course, you can always turn to these videos. I'll be sending out email reminders. But here are the three important documents. I put them all by themselves at the beginning here. And essentially, the thing you'll need on a daily basis is this first one that I've put up for you, the reading list and calendar. And that is, when you're asking yourself the question, what am I doing for 211 today? This is where you want to go. Eventually, when you get to the big assignments for the course, the descriptions are right here and lots of helpful hints, as well as the specs for the assignment. And lastly, we've got the syllabus here, which is policies and procedures. And we'll go over all of these in this video. All right. So just know that this is where you can find these things, and I didn't put anything else here so that you're not overloaded with stuff to sift through. When you have a question on what's going on, this is where you want to go. Specifically, likely the reading list and calendar. We'll come back to that and look at it in more detail. I already do have up readings. You'll see when I post a reading for you. I'll put the date. 1-2 is my numbering method. I don't put dates. Rather, this is week 1 and day 2 of the course, which is Tuesday, second day of the week, right? So there you go. And you'll see this is our reading right here. It would be called so on the reading list, as we'll see in a minute. And there it is down here. It'll open as a PDF if you click on this, right? So I'm giving you a little heads up right here on what you should be looking for, what you should be thinking of. The major thing I'll tell you right away, as long as we're talking about this and we'll revisit it, is before you do any reading, you'll want to watch any videos that I've posted that are new, because I'll always be helping you, giving you goals, giving you reading strategies, telling you what to look for. Of course, you can look for all your own things and learn whatever you'd like from the course, but there's some specific things and connections that I'll try to do for you as well. And so I'll be giving you all of those in the video, and I'll be giving you those in one other place we might as well look at right away since it's such a big part of the course. I can go here to communication and to discussion, and this is where you're going to do your nightly writing for this course. Not the big writing assignments, the 4-page paper or 6-page paper, whatever it might be, but just every night you're going to write about 300 to 400 words, which is, might sound like a lot. It's really not. That's, a bit more than a page single-spaced, not even 2 full pages single-spaced. And I'm going to give you plenty of things that you can discuss. So you wind up, you can see for this day right here, you've got 3 basic questions I'd like you to think about, and you're going to write about 100 words on each. That's not a lot, necessarily. But what this is going to do is set you up for success. It's going to help you identify the strategies that you'll need later on the big, major, important assignments. So I'm already warming you up for that and getting you used to all the major concepts for the course. That's what these are for. So you can see when you're here what you would do is you'll always want to read this, watch the video, any new video, and read this, because I'm telling you why I'm asking you these questions, how this will connect to the future of the course. I try to be very deliberate in doing that so you know why you're doing this work. I don't want it to feel like busy work. I make everything connect as much as possible to this course, but also to college, and for this course, you can imagine your future as well and the type of writing you'll do after college, which is an important thing as well. So you can see they're all there waiting for you. I usually give them a theme. The readings, of course, are back on our homepage. And when it's time to use this, if you haven't used it before, you simply click on this, and you're going to get a little window that opens. You can give a little title. You could just type in 1-2 response, or you could do something fancier and just say, major points of analyzing argument or whatever it might be. And then go ahead and give your 300-word response, 300 to 400-word response. You might want to write, sometimes D2L crashes, you might want to write your response in a Word doc and then copy and paste it if possible. That way, if your computer crashes, you don't lose your 300 to 400 words. Sometimes D2L crashes. Not very often, but it does happen. All right, so we'll go back to our home page here. Those are the daily posts, though. We'll talk about those more when you look at the course calendar. And you'll see I'm going to be using the same dating method for the videos. So here's where the videos would be, when it's Friday of week 1, that would be 1-5. Thursday would be 1-4, right? And so on and so on. And I'll be posting videos to give you the major points that I wanted you to take away from the previous day's reading. And the videos will also set up what's to come in the day's reading. So we're sort of mopping up the previous day while we're setting up the upcoming day. And that's what these videos will be doing. All right, so I think enough on this. We really won't be using this for anything else. You will have eventually a Dropbox, and that'll be here under, I don't have them set up yet, but assessments and assignments. And there'll be a Dropbox there where you put your major papers for the course. More on that later. Right now, what we want to do is take a peek at the syllabus and policies. Here's everything you need to know about me since we're an online course. We are not in MINA 109, and those are not our hours. Sorry, I modified this. Everything else is current for the online course. I just forgot to erase that. No textbook is required. All the readings will be online as PDFs. I'll give you what you need when you need it. What will you need? You'll need your laptop, clearly. I will be sending you emails. You might want to print some of the readings out. Probably go better if you can make notes on them. That would be really, really good. Here is, I should say this too, in terms of contacting me, you could call me and you can find my phone number from my office, but likely you want to email me because it is an online course. I won't be, in summertime, I won't be in my office all the time. However, if you're in town and you want to meet face to face, that's perfectly fine. And we can find a good time to do that. Here is my office. But just email me. That's the best way to contact me. All right, so here is the course, which I've talked about a little bit. What does this do? Well, you have to have had English 111 to take the course, so make sure you have. It fulfills Goal 9 with its ethics and civic responsibility, thus everything I said in the previous video about the public sphere and writing communities and environmentalism and sustainability and ethical decision making and all these type of things. And so you can see how what I talked about in that first video is going to help us do all of these things, especially as I talked about previously, the legal, social, and scientific issues, thus the environment, and a little bit of public health or human health creeps in at the edges to help us do these things, even though none of us are experts in these things, right? But you can also see we're talking about politics, we're talking about rights, we're talking about democracy and justice and what's good for the world or what's good for the United States or a region of the US or whatever it might be, right? So you can see our course certainly gets us into this. We look at social activism. We can think of the panda bear that I showed you in the last video, and we're getting into the rights and responsibilities of citizenship or being a global citizen. We're looking at the way that different groups, if we're looking at political motivations and the interests of others, that's all the different communities that we're looking at, right? So we're not dividing the world into heroes and villains. Rather, what we're doing is looking, very specifically, very intently and intentionally at why people believe what they believe. And then looking at frameworks that might persuade people who either agree with you or maybe disagree with you to do something good, to take on a shared action, even though they might be a different community. So again, we're back to maybe cooperation rather than competition of ideas. So everything I'm saying here I've already said. So if you want to pause and read through this, you can, or if you want to go to the document itself that's on D2L, that would be great. I won't say too much about these things. What we want to talk about is this. So we're online. So attendance is basically having your homework done on time. I've selected midnight of each day. So if it's, Wednesday of week 1, and that's the homework, I expect you to have that done as Wednesday becomes Thursday, midnight, right? So the same day. Now, if it's a little bit late, I don't mind too much. I know everybody's got things to do. Some of you may have night jobs, and maybe you're going to do this late night. But essentially, what happens is I get up the next morning after something is due. Say it's Wednesday night, it's due at midnight. Well, Thursday morning, I'm going to get up, and I'm going to start looking through everybody's homework and seeing what everybody's seeing and what they're not seeing, and make the next set of videos based upon that. So I need to have your homework in by then to be counted as on time. If you are late with your homework, a couple things can happen. You can only miss 3 of those D2L posts. After that, you get a 0 for all of them, and it's a pretty major portion of your grade. You would still pass the course, but you probably wouldn't love your grade that much. So you do not want to miss those D2L posts, even if you're sick or out of town or whatever. Since we're all online, you can clearly get those done, and that would be okay. After 3, you also start to compile absences, which will equate to the loss of 10%, or basically 1 letter grade. So if you miss 7 posts, which essentially count as your attendance, then you're going to fail the course. So you need to be doing your homework on time. You can miss 3 times, and after that, it's going to start to affect your grade. So know that. I'll say here too, you have to do all of the major assignments for the course. You can't pick and choose. You must complete all of the assignments in order to be eligible to pass the course. That is written in here as well. But I just thought I'd mention that as long as we're talking about assignments. So there's a lot to say here. Maybe one thing we can talk about real quick, major assignments. You'll have 2 major assignments. The first one you can revise. You workshop it with peers, you'll turn it into me eventually, and then I'm going to send you some audio feedback on that assignment as well, and you can revise it and turn it in again at the end of the course for a higher grade. Because our course is so short, we can't do that with other assignments. But this first assignment, if you get a C on the first one, or a B, or maybe even lower, you can take my advice, my feedback, and you will replace that grade with a higher grade should you take the feedback and revise. And this is important because the way we learn to write is not by moving on to a new thing, but rather going back to the old thing and modifying it, seeing where we were successful and where we were maybe less successful in our writing strategies. And then you can make those changes, right? That's a great thing to do, of course, with all your assignments because of the shortness, the brevity of our course. We can't do that as much as we might in a longer 15, 16-week course, but we'll do what we can. All right, here's the grading scale if you're curious. Here are the grading standards. I won't go over them too much. We'll talk about them in a later video, but you can read all about them. Here's the grading rubric. Essentially, the way I look at things is it's an A if it's something that we could send out to people, right? So you can't really have a lot of mistakes in idea, in organization, or even in grammar, mechanics, those type of things. That will start to knock you eventually down to here. So you can see the gist of what happens in the grading here. Here's another way of looking at it. If you want to look through here, where do my deductions come from? If you're curious, there they are. Those are the basic type of errors that people make and how I weigh them. Here's what the assignments look like. All the assignments are listed here and their weight in the course. Again, you need to do all of them in order to be eligible. The formal paper prompts, that's the other document we'll look at in a minute. So it's on D2L, we'll take a look at it. You can use MLA or APA for citation, does not matter to me. We won't talk about these much because you've been trained in this, but you can go to PurdueOwl.com, which is listed in here, right here. You can brush up on your citation. Just choose one and be consistent is all I ask. Here's what your paper should look like. So you can find everything you need here. Peer review workshops we'll talk about later. I'll facilitate that online. Avoiding plagiarism. Again, you've been trained on that, so I don't talk about it too much, but we will talk about that a little bit as the course goes on. Here's some resources, etc., etc. All right, so that is that one. Let's talk briefly about the assignment descriptions. Here's the daily post. We'll look at these in more detail as the assignments come up. Just know that this is there. Okay, so you can see all the assignments if you're curious what we're doing. They're really, really long, but what I'm going to do in a video is guide you through them and say, okay, here are the big things that you need. And I even usually do that. Like this is the second assignment in the course, but you will notice right at the end, after giving you all this advice, I make things pretty simple and say, hey, let's summarize this assignment into some basic things that you need to do. And all that previous stuff was the advice for the assignment. So we'll talk about this more in the future as well. The last thing we might talk about briefly then here is our course calendar. And you can see week 1, day 2, Tuesday, week 1, day 3, Wednesday, etc., etc. All we do is I have it broken down into these columns. Here's your reading for the day, which you'll always find on D2L. Right? You've got the videos listed too. Watch the video, open your PDF. But remember, always go to the daily post in my instructions first. And then I'm going to give you those reading goals, tell you what to read for and what you're going to write about when you read each of these readings. So all these will be PDFs eventually that appear online. They'll be titled for the day that you'll be reading them. Those are the readings. The writing is almost always a daily post. You can see here. I maybe give you a little bit of extra instruction, but it's always posts all the way through until we start to get to work on the paper, and then you'll see no post because you're writing your paper, right? And then the last column here, what we've got are major due dates. We don't have any for a while because we're just warming up the course. And you can see right about here, we're starting to kick into having some things come up, some major due dates. You can see in bold when the rough draft is due and when the final draft is due, and that's the course. So this is the reading list. This is the daily homework, the calendar, if you want to think of it that way. And this is what you'll need most for the course. If you have any questions, feel free to email me, and I will talk to you soon.